If you've been studying Spanish for months or even years and you still can't speak, it is definitely not your fault, especially because most methods focus on the grammar and studying part and not much on speaking. And I know how frustrating it is to put like this much effort and still not being able to form a sentence or not being able to talk to people because you feel like you're way too limited. You would often freeze in your conversations. But after teaching hundreds of students, I do know the reason why, as well as the way out of it. So today I will explain why that happens and how you can finally start using your Spanish in your real conversations. And like I said in other videos, you don't have to be perfect for you to being able to start creating connections with Spanish speakers. Now, you're learning a language. You're learning how to speak in a different language, and your brain is creating new connections, a new way to communicate. So your brain needs to make all these new things and structures automatic. And how are you gonna make those automatic if you're not even trying to speak? Studying is not the same as speaking. Studying gives you the knowledge, but speaking gives you the skill. And I mean, we can compare that with multiple things people learn, like learning how to play basketball and learning the rules, but never actually touching the ball. And of course, Spanish is the same. I mean, studying is your preparation. You create foundations on different topics. Because everyone talks about like the beginning part when you are starting to discover the way Spanish works and like masculine and feminine and all that. But no one tells you you will face the exact same struggles when learning other tenses and more complex structures. So it is very important for you to keep that in mind because you will be often adding new stuff to your conversations, and learning each topic requires you to follow a process. And a lot of people miss the speaking part because they know how to use the present tense and basic structures. For new tenses, they expect to just learn the conjugations, but not the different use cases or put themselves in situations where they will actually use those tenses and new ways to communicate with others. At the end of the day, you're learning how to feel less limited in your second language. Have you noticed sometimes people would ask you pretty basic questions, but you will not be able to understand what they're saying unless they repeat it multiple times or you translate the word and you realize, all right, it was just comí, like I ate. It wasn't that deep then. That's because your words disappear from your brain. You've never used them. And I would say phonetics also play a very important role. You would expect people to pronounce green as verde and not verde. Your brain has some expectations, but Spanish out there in real life might sound different to you and you will not be able to recognize those at first. That's why it is very important for you to obviously train your ear and study, but also using the language and trying to understand people and the way they pronounce things. And how will you actually progress if the only thing you're doing is listening to music or maybe watching shows in Spanish? Don't get me wrong, I mean, those are great things for you to practice, but that is a very passive way of practicing. You need active input. And sometimes you can make that passive input become active input, or at least by a tiny bit, which is better than only having passive input around you. It is very important for you to create an environment where you're surrounded by Spanish, but even if you were moving to a Spanish speaking country tomorrow, you would still have to put a lot of effort on creating connections with people and then actually being confident. The goal is for you to feel less limited. You must progress, and that is something a lot of people struggle with because they're too comfortable with a certain structure and they can get away with the idea that they're saying it. But you just committed to learning a second language. This is the best moment for you to take action. Nowadays, there's a lot of content in Spanish. You can definitely listen to a song, but also read the lyrics of that song. You can learn how to sing that song. So there are many ways you can transform passive input into active input. I am planning a video where I show you the best ways for you to actively practice your Spanish. So I suggest you subscribe so that you don't miss that content. A lot of students confuse fluency and perfection. They're definitely not the same because fluency builds perfection. You have to make mistakes for you to become perfect at a language, which I don't know what perfection means to you, but I don't think anyone can be perfect in a language. Is it the accent? Is it the words you use? It's the conjugation thing? Because let me tell you, native speakers are not perfect. I mean, we're humans at the end of the day. We'll always make mistakes, and we speak different Spanish in different regions. So perfection is a myth, but fluency is what really matters. And many students feel like they have to be perfect for them to start using their Spanish, but you have to learn from your mistakes. Now, in many situations, people get too comfortable and no one has corrected them in decades. They live with those mistakes, and that is something that's very difficult to get rid of. I mean, you have been making the exact same mistake for many, many years, and what your brain did throughout all those years is validate that structure or that mistake that you're making. It would just create that connection in your brain, and it will take that for granted. I mean, you're not even going to be bothered by that mistake anymore, even if you start to hear like right way to say those things. The good thing about Spanish is that pretty much everyone can understand what you're saying. It is pretty easy to put those pieces together, which can be a good thing because you don't have to be perfect for you to gain fluency. You can say your phrases out loud however you want, and people, they can get a whole idea of what you're saying. And compared to other cultures, in Spanish, people don't correct you most of the time. It is like I said, a good thing and a bad thing. And you have to find accountability somewhere. So if you're ready to take the next step and gain more fluency, you can book a free Spanish check with me. This is a 30-minute call where we discuss your goals and I show you the program that I use with my students for them to be more confident and be more natural in their conversations with real speakers. This is a one-on-one program, and like I said, you can book that free session with me to see if you're in the right moment to start this program. The link will be down in the description. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I suggest you watch this video next, where I explain you why you feel stuck in your Spanish and how you can fix that. Muchas gracias. Cuídate mucho. Nos vemos.